It was absolutely horrible. The things that were on it was everything that I either was consuming on a daily basis or was my favorite food or beverage. Now I'm not supposed to have any of my favorite foods, and I have these weird conditions that I had never heard of before, and I'm not even getting relief. That doesn't mean it's forever. We're going to work on your nervous system, and we're going to work through whatever root cause you're experiencing.
You shouldn't be robbed of these experiences, whether it's food, whether it's traveling, whether it's working out because your bladder is flared up. Like, it's different. It hits different. You feel different. You get better and you stay better. Callie, welcome to the Female Blueprint podcast. I'm so excited to have you on here this morning. As a guest on your podcast not too long ago. It was only time that you came on mine.
Yeah, I'm super pumped that you started a podcast and happy to be here.
My gosh, podcasting has been it's like my new personality trait. Because it's like so new and I'm like, I just want to talk about everything and anything.
Envy that, because I just passed 100 episodes on my podcast and now I'm like, I don't know what else to talk about. We've hit so many different topics.
Yeah. Well, you've had your podcast for a couple years, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just like, well, you can go in seasons now. You can be like, well, I'm taking a break.
Yeah, now I kind of just look for guests rather than topics.
Yeah.
Because I think I'd rather just find a cool person and then we can figure out what to talk about from there.
Right. I love that. Well, let's start with a little bit about you. Who are you and what brought you into the world of dietetics?
Yeah, so I'm Callie Krajcir. It's crazy. I never say my last name anymore. My business is called Callie K Nutrition, so people know me as Callie K.
Well, I didn't even want to say your last name because I was going to butcher it. That's why I'm like Callie.
I know. It's okay. And I love how difficult it is. If I get married, I always said I'm going to keep it just to screw with people. Yeah. I'm a registered dietitian. I specialize in bladder health, specifically conditions like overactive bladder and interstitial cystitis. Pretty cool because I'm the only dietitian doing this, and we can definitely talk about that at some point. But I kind of fell into this field because I grew up with one of those almond moms people talk about. My mom was a health and phys ed teacher, and she was just one of those moms that wanted to be skinny and wanted me to be skinny. And yeah, a whole lot of, am I allowed to curse on this podcast?
Absolutely.
Okay, a whole lot of shit. She's a fantastic mom. She's not going to listen to this, but if she did, I just wanted to say that. But
Mom, I love you.
Yeah. Grew up with some, I don't know, fat shaming and disordered eating habits that eventually really came to a head when I was just starting out as a dietitian. But before I get ahead of myself, I was originally in college as an occupational therapy major, which is kind of funny. Because that's what my brother ended up doing. And now I work with PTs and OTs. But a little bit into it, I was like, why am I in this career? Or why am I in these classes right now? As an OT, I'm going to have to be very hands-on with people. And I don't like to touch people.
Yeah, 100%.
My main thing. And then I took a Nutrition 101 and I was kind of good at it. And I've never really been good at a certain topic or subject. And I was like, okay, I'm switching. But behind all of that, I think what was really lighting a fire for me was I wanted to learn how to lose weight. And it's really sad because looking back, I was not overweight. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I was a college athlete, and it's just crazy for me to talk about this now. But yeah, that's kind of how I ended up getting into this field.
I love that. That's actually funny that you kind of followed a little bit of your mom's footsteps of okay, I really, really care about health and wellness, but not in the same capacity that she did. So you kind of wrote your own blueprint, if you will, based on what you learned.
Yeah, for sure. I knew exactly what I didn't want to do and didn't exactly know what I wanted to do, but I think with time I figured it out.
Yeah. Okay. So was there a moment in your life that because obviously you're a registered dietitian, But when you were going through school and everything like that, like, how did you get to where you are now in the field that you're treating now? Like, how did we get here?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, my dream job when I was in college, and then after college, you have to do a year-long dietetic internship. It's this whole crazy thing before you take your board exam. My dream job was to work in weight management. I wanted to help other people lose weight because, as you can gather from the context I'm giving you, that's what I wanted ultimately for myself. So I started out working in a hospital, and then fast forward, I ended up getting that dream job where I was working in like an outpatient weight management center. And after a while, my disordered eating tendencies started to really get bad. And like it got to the point where something would have probably happened if COVID didn't happen. So COVID happened. I got furloughed, which was like the universe telling me like this is not right for you, or at least that's my telling of that
Yeah.
story. And yeah, after that, the company I was working for, they had me just working like PRN as needed, just throughout the hospital system. And on the side, I saw a business coach just came up on my algorithm, and she was marketing herself towards registered dietitians, and that was my first like contact with any sort of business coach before. And I went to one of her free webinars, and I was sold, and I had a discovery call with her, and I invested right away. And over the next like year or so, I was able to go full time with that. And to answer your question, how did I get into like the bladder world specifically? I have suffered from bladder pain my whole life, and I didn't get diagnosed with anything until I was 18. I got an interstitial cystitis diagnosis. I got diagnosed with overactive bladder, a whole lot of overlapping conditions. Uh, and yeah, I went on this long journey of treatments that were super invasive, risky, side effects. Nothing helped me. And along with these conditions comes a diet. So there's something called the IC diet that it basically is a list of bladder irritants that it's not even like a proven thing per se, but
Yeah.
anywho, the doctor was like,
Yeah.
follow this. It was absolutely horrible. The things that were on it was everything that I either was consuming on a daily basis or was my favorite food or beverage. Things like coffee,
Yeah.
alcohol. I was in college at the time. Like, that was a
You're
little
like, I
difficult.
can't cut all this out. Like, these are the things that
Yeah.
I live off of.
Oh my God, like the tomato products. So that means like pizza's out, pasta's out, like everything that's yummy is out. Spicy foods, chocolate, things like that. So it's like, okay, now I'm not supposed to have any of my favorite foods, and I have these weird conditions that I had never heard of before, and I'm not even getting relief. So really struggled with that and implementing that diet. And when I was starting my business and figuring out what niche I wanted to focus in on, I realized that there wasn't anybody helping people with IC to navigate the diet changes or the recommended diet that doctors are prescribing for people. So I really wanted to help them like navigate that. And it's crazy because I started this about 5 years ago, and my mindset and beliefs now versus then are so incredibly different. It is unreal.
I know, right? When you look back and you're like, wait, did I really think that? Did I really do that?
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Really do
Like I
that.
used to really push the IC diet because that's what I thought was helpful for people. But over time, I mean, I've worked with hundreds of people now, and we're finding out that most of my clients aren't diet sensitive, and the research behind the IC diet isn't that strong. So I am now taking a completely different approach with my clients, and we're prioritizing the nervous system and the pelvic floor, and they're getting really, really good results.
That. So you're not even really practicing your degree as much to what you started
Really,
with.
I mean, I'm
And
acting
that's
as
okay. That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah, I'm acting as a nutrition coach, so I'm not technically in like an RD role, but that's cool. I get to help people with so much more than just food. Like, yes, that's a small piece
Yeah.
of what we do, but we're helping them with so much more than that. It's like the mindset. We're helping them get support and connecting them with other people struggling with similar things. We're teaching them about other topics like hormones and their pelvic floor and their gut. Like, it's really cool. When I take a step back and I look at what I get to do on a day-to-day basis, like, it is really cool, and it's nothing that I ever thought I would be doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure with your own journey and how you got to be where you are, like physically with your own symptoms, and you and I have like kind of already talked about your story and everything before. And obviously, as a pelvic floor PT, I'm like, okay, I'm so interested in what you did to heal your symptoms. Um, but because of your story, I'm sure you had to find other ways to heal your own symptoms. So, what's your story? Like, what did you find for yourself specifically that helped? And then like how did you were you kind of like trial and error with a lot of your clients with the same stuff, or were you just like, no, I know this works, I'm doing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when I just started out in my business, I didn't have relief. I was probably 25 at the time. I'm 30 now. And I was dealing with bladder pain for my whole life. So it was something that I was just so used to. It was normal for me. Flare ups were normal, just the norm.
Yeah.
And when I started my program, I was just hoping to help other people get some relief. I wasn't going into it thinking like I'm going to help people become symptom free. Like, it didn't, I didn't have that reality. So I was like, I don't know if it's realistic for me to expect that in my clients. So at first, the program, it's called Road to Remission. It's the only program I've had consistently this whole time. Um, like I said, like, we would help people adjust their diet first. So we would have them do an elimination diet, and then we would address some other
Change.
things down the road. But yeah, the results were okay. People were getting relief. I think there was a lot of factors going into it, like the peer to peer support, having like me as a coach, and just having that feeling like you're not alone anymore. I think does go a long way with a lot of people, and it decreases stress. So that was good. Um, but there was a point in time, maybe 3 years ago, that I got in contact with. Her name is Grace. She's a nervous system therapist, and she came on my podcast to talk about nervous system dysregulation and that relationship to chronic symptoms. And we specifically were talking about bladder health. That was my first introduction to the nervous system. Like, I had very minimal knowledge about the nervous system prior to that. And that podcast episode, like, I had a huge light bulb go off, and I realized like everything she's saying is just hitting for me. Like, for example, like, my symptoms would get worse when I was stressed. They would improve if I was distracted or, doing something that took my mind off of my symptoms. My symptoms would improve when I took Xanax. Like, little hints, little like clues that I never really pieced together. But like, that was my first time of having that like moment of, oh my God, that makes so much
Way
sense.
deeper.
Yeah. And after that moment, I started this whole journey on regulating my nervous system. And that has been a long journey, and I am by no means regulated. I'm someone who
Yeah.
has had a ton of anxiety my entire life. So
Yeah.
that was just like my baseline. And I mean, it makes sense. I have all these issues. I have like IBS. Yeah. So it all adds
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And so I started joining some courses, some programs, learned a ton just about like the nervous system and different practices that I can use on a daily basis. I always joke that I didn't take my first deep breath until I was like 27.
Wait,
Not
I
well.
resonate with that.
Nobody
Like,
explained to me how important deep breathing was.
no. Most people don't even know how to breathe correctly, let alone a deep breath. They're like,
So,
deep breathing? What?
exactly. So I had so many light bulb moments on that journey. And once I started noticing significant results, and also while I was doing that, I was in pelvic floor PT. I was using a pelvic wand. So I was really addressing my super, super tight pelvic floor. So I think that also,
Yes.
that combination was exactly what I needed.
Yes.
So my whole take on it was my nervous system was so upregulated, and I would hold all my tension in my pelvic floor, and that made it super tight and just like, chronically
Yeah.
tense.
Yeah.
And that caused the bladder pain I was experiencing. It was mostly during and after urination. So every PT I've seen is like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Your pelvic floor is so tight. I'm like, yeah, didn't
Yes.
realize that. So
Yes.
so after that is when it all just kind of came together. Like I started noticing relief from my symptoms. I stopped having fear about flare-ups and symptoms. I stopped having those like oh shit moments when I felt a twinge of a symptom. And then I just started like living my life confidently. Like I the fear just like disappeared one day. I don't know if there's one specific day, but it just wasn't
Felt
there
like
anymore.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm living a very exciting life. We travel a lot. I'm eating and drinking anything I want. I don't take any medications for my bladder anymore. So yeah, it's great. And then
The
oh,
lifestyle approach.
exactly. Exactly. And over time, like my program evolved based off of that experience. Now we are prioritizing the nervous system, we're prioritizing the pelvic floor. Diet, yes, it is a priority, but we're focused less on restriction and more on, okay, what can you eat? What
Yes.
have diet sensitivity? Okay, that's valid. That doesn't mean it's forever. We're going to work on your nervous system, and we're going to work through whatever root cause you're experiencing, and we're gonna get you relief from that food sensitivity so
Yeah.
that you can eat and drink what you want again.
Well, that's the joy of life. Like you shouldn't be robbed of these experiences, whether it's food, whether it's traveling, whether it's working out because your bladder is flared up. Like I see this all the time in a lot of the clients that I'm dealing with as well. And it's like, where did we go wrong on addressing the whole person in front of us? Like, it's not just literally what you eat, not literally what you drink. Like, there's so many factors that go into your organs. Like, let's not forget about that. And a lot of people think it's so simple as like, I'm just going to go to this doctor. I'm just going to get put on this medication, overactive bladder medication, or I'm just going to go get a distension or whatever other procedures there are. But like, they think that there's just like this going to be this one solution because this one doctor told them that this one thing. And it's like, holy cow, we live a life. We are human beings, and everything that we're experiencing is so multifactorial. And so I love that you've found this other approach because like now you're helping so many other women with it. And I think that it's opening the eyes of, you know, naturopathic kind of medicine, not that you're a naturopathic doctor or anything, but it's natural medicine that's like, no, wait, we're just going to look at how much sleep are you getting? How much are you stressing out? Where are you holding tension in your body? Yeah, maybe diet has a small role. Like if you eat like shit, you're going to feel like shit, period. Like you got to eat healthy, you got to eat clean. You don't got to admit all these foods. But the coin is just flipping, right? Like I feel like I love having people on this podcast so much that are so much alike minded with what I do as well, because it's like we're going to change the industry. People are going to get better because they're going to be healing their entire bodies. So I have a follow-up question now. When you're working with women, where are you seeing nervous system dysregulation? Like for somebody who's listening to this podcast and they're like, wait, I have bladder symptoms. I've been trying my whole life. I've done all of these things, Callie. How am I dysregulated? What does it look like?
Yeah, that's a great question because it can be obvious for some people, and for others, it could be super normal. I think in our society, at least in the United States, we're such like a go, go, go culture where it's like you just
Yes.
have to do the grind, you have to work, your 40 plus hour week and, check all these boxes. And it's like, so many people are just really stressed out, but they're used to it and they don't even realize how big of an impact that has on them.
Just
And
the new normal.
exactly, eventually your nervous system is going to tell you somehow. It might be bladder symptoms, it might be a gut issue, it might be like chronic fatigue. Like there's a lot of different symptoms that it can present just because it's trying to communicate with you that enough is enough. Like you have to take care of yourself at some point. But I will say, like, what I noticed among my clients who are coming to me, it's the people who are like that type A personality, the perfectionists, always have to get things right, people pleasing tendencies. A decent amount of my clients have some like childhood trauma or some sort of trauma throughout their life. That could be like a big T trauma, something more obvious, like maybe parents got divorced, there was some sort of abuse, something like that. Or
Yeah.
it could be like a little T trauma, like a collection of those where it's like something made you feel shame or guilty for something, or like you felt a lot of these negative emotions. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm noticing in the women that are coming to me. And I think a lot of people overlook, like they always, not always, sorry, I don't like talking in absolutes.
Absolute.
Usually are quick to blame the food whenever their symptoms flare up, and usually the food is not what's going on. It's
It's
your
like a
symptoms.
cherry on top. Like it's
Yeah,
just like the perfect storm, right? It's
right,
not always the cause. It's
right.
correlation.
Exactly. And it's usually related to some stressful event. Maybe there was a heated discussion at home. Maybe there's a big project coming up at work. Maybe there's just something building up that, you're just not processing. Like it's just so it presents differently for everyone, but yeah, that's kind of like what I'm seeing in my clients.
Mhm. When you have someone come work with you, for example, like what are you having them do, like kind of like a self-reflection? Like, oh yeah, like this did happen. Or like, I think that's so important that you have to, because it's like you're saying, like people live in chronic fight or flight. I live in chronic fight or fight for so long. Like I'm finally out of it. I feel like I fall back into it sometimes, but it's like because it's work and it's burnout and you just fluctuate until you can find balance. And there's never balance, right? But you have to find it somehow. And when you're living in chronic fight or flight, it's like any big project at work or like a small argument, like it's normal. Like that's your normal. And so sometimes it's hard for people to identify dysregulation. And then finally you're like, no, this is what it looks like. You're in it right now.
Yeah. When I have my first one-on-one with my clients, I have them fill out like an intake form and I ask them about their stress, I ask them about their diet, like a whole lot of different things. And then I'll have them kind of take me through, what, like, give me more on that stress. Is there a history of trauma? Is there something in your life right now that's really stressing you out outside of,
Yeah.
your symptoms? And usually, like, we peel back this onion layer by layer, and most of the time, the nervous system is at the root of the issue. And it's just sometimes you need to hear it from another person's point of view. If someone's like not really buying into it, there's this list of criteria. It's called the FIT criteria. It was created by Dr. Howard Schubiner. It stands for functional, inconsistent, and I'm forgetting the T. But anywho, it's this list of criteria that basically gives you a good idea of if your symptoms are related to your mind body or they're neuroplastic. And my clients do the checklist and they're like, oh my God, I checked off like every box. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there you go. That's your proof right here. If
Yeah.
you have gotten all the tests, if there's no structural abnormalities, like that's what we're left
That's
with.
it. This is
Yeah.
what we're here. Wow. I feel like that's so important. And honestly, like, if your body is not in a state, well, I mean, when you're in chronic fight or flight, like your body's not in a state of healing. Like it really isn't, right? Like it's not meant to. Like we're meant to fight bears in fight or flight. So when you're in this fight or flight state, like it's also hard to be receptive to healing, I feel like a little bit. Like, how can you heal a body that's in a fight or flight state? So you have to address the nervous system first and foremost. Even that's something that I do. It's like, sure, I can heal your pelvic floor. I can get you a really strong core and really strong glutes, and we can get back into the gym and do all of these things. But if you've been in pain for 10 years, I have to heal your nervous system first because your body's like, no, nope, nope, can't do that. I don't feel safe. So it's so important. And I think that the world is waking up to nervous system. Like I feel like it's on social media all over the place, and I don't know if a lot of people know what it means because they don't know what it feels like and looks like day to day, especially type A people. Like I identify as type A for sure. I feel like every business owner identifies as type A.
Me, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think being in fight or flight, it can present so so differently for everyone. Like for me,
Yeah.
the thing I notice the most is I get this like feeling of rage and irritability within me when I get overwhelmed. And for someone else, there might be like a shutdown response. Like it really just depends. But I think something people don't understand is like you're meant to go into these states like fight, flight, freeze. This is
Yeah.
natural. There's be threats in your life and your body has to protect you. But it's like you need to get back into that green zone, that social interaction zone, the safe zone. Like most people with chronic conditions, like we're getting stuck in that
Yeah.
I'm saying all these different zones that people probably don't understand, but we're gonna call it like the safe and then the not so safe zones right
Yeah.
now.
My therapist, she opened my eyes actually this year to nervous system regulation. And she kind of describes it as like we're not supposed to be functional or dysfunctional or like functional. Like we're in this zone of like, so if you have your nervous system of fight or flight, and that's like just regular chronic state of sympathetic tone, you have freeze, dysregulation down here. Fight or flight is also dysregulation, but it's normal. We need that response to feel safe and to provide safety to our body. And then you have ventral state up here, which is happy go lucky and like parasympathetic. We're just like creative, we're curious, we're just like human functioning human beings. And whether you're in whatever state you're in, your body needs to be able to regulate itself between the three states. To live in one state more than other is dysregulation. I mean, you're probably anyone who's like living in happy go lucky up here. I would love to live in happy go lucky. Let's be honest. Like, I don't know that anyone lives there 24/7, right? But some people that do live there all the time have a very regulated nervous system because they still experience the other ones, but they know how to get themselves out of it. And so, what, like you're saying, you're like, okay, yes, like I know when I'm anxious or I know when I'm upset, I get this internal rage. For me, I feel rage sometimes too, but I also shut down. And if somebody like triggers me in a specific way, like I will shut down and then I'm just like, I don't talk. Like, don't even look at me, don't talk to me, no nothing. And so I have had to find my way out of that back up to like this like curious, relaxed state. And it's hard work. But like doing the work to find those regulated systems to become a more functional adult more often, that's the hard part. And that's the goal. Because you're not supposed to just like, listen, we're supposed to be stressed human beings. Like it's natural to produce cortisol, it's natural to do these things. But to be there all the time, that's when we raise the red flags. And then that's when chronic pain exists. That's when all these conditions exist. It's when it feels like everything is overwhelming. Any little fight you're in, your body sets off a cascade of events. Now you're flared up. Now you have all these symptoms. Oh my gosh, we could go on and on and on about this.
Mm-hmm.
My next question. So you mentioned pelvic floor issues and you were getting pelvic floor PT before. So obviously I'm naturally curious about this because I am a pelvic floor PT. So what has your pelvic floor PT journey looked like for treating your bladder specifically? Like, have you ran into good providers, bad providers? Like, what's that journey been looking like?
Yeah. So I'm currently on my eighth pelvic PT.
Eighth?
Eighth in about a decade. So
Oh
there's
my God.
reasons. So the first couple were at college.
Okay,
So
lay it out, lay it out.
couple different PTs in college just based on where I was, and they were helpful. I mean, they were a good intro to the pelvic floor, but I think where the first few like kind of did me a disservice is they didn't do a good job of explaining how my pelvic floor being tight was causing me to have bladder pain. Because for me, I was like, no, it's my bladder. But then I'd get a cystoscopy, and my doctor would say, your bladder looks completely healthy. And I'd be like, well, what the hell? It hurts really fucking
What do
bad.
you mean?
So
Yeah.
um, now I know that it was my pelvic floor that was causing that. But back then, like, I just wasn't understanding, I wasn't connecting the dots. So I think had that information been presented to me in a way that I understood, because maybe they did try to explain it and I just like didn't get it. I don't know. Um, but I was one of those people where I was like, PT doesn't really help me. But
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
after college, was at like the peak of my symptoms. It was like 2017, 2018. And I started seeing one near my parents because I was living with them, and she was the first one that like was able to explain it in a way that I understood. And she's the first one that got me to actually use a pelvic wand, because before that I was really intimidated by it and I didn't think it was going to help me.
Yeah.
And I committed to myself to using my wand daily for 30 days or so. I don't know. I'm bad at consistency. So I made that little commitment and I noticed pretty significant results in that month. Like living with these symptoms for my whole life, it was easy for me to know when I was experiencing relief, because it'd be like, oh, the pain really isn't there, or it isn't bad, or as bad as it usually is. So after that, I was feeling really encouraged about it. I kept using it, and that PT was great. And then, after I got relief, I still had some lingering issues. Like, I still have low back pain. I have a really like significant pelvic tilt. I get this weird numbness in my legs. So the past year or so, I've been bouncing around when I travel. I'll see if there's like a pelvic PT clinic where I go and see what they
Yeah.
think. So I was at like a more holistic PT's office in New Jersey. That was a very interesting experience. They did a lot of things that I had never done before. They had like cupping, and they had like red light therapy. They had one of those vibration plates. They were doing something with my head at one point. Like, I don't really know. I don't know. But
Yeah.
that was a really expensive clinic. It was $300 each visit, and I had to drive like an hour and a half. So I stopped going there.
Yeah.
Visited a clinic in Tampa when I visited my brother, their Bloom PT. They're really awesome. And in that visit, this might blow your mind as a PT, maybe not, but that was my very first rectal exam. After all of those physical therapists, seven
What?
is the one that did the first rectal exam on me. And she was like, you're very tight. I was like, oh, I'm not surprised by that.
News to me.
No, and nobody prepared me for what that was going to feel like, but it
Yes.
helped me understand that, okay, like things are going in the right direction, but like you still have some dysfunction in your pelvic floor. And I'm someone who also struggles with like IBS, a lot of chronic constipation, stuff like that. So it all makes sense to me. And that visit was really helpful. And then after that, I started seeing someone local to me. They're really awesome. I'm like an hour outside of Philadelphia, and she's really helping me with my back pain now. And we're really focused on like teaching my core how to work properly, because it doesn't know. Like, it's insane to me how I've lived my whole life. I played all those sports and like my core just doesn't know how to function.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. So I've found like in my practice a lot that women who do have a lot of bladder issues, they struggle with over gripping and overusing their obliques and their rectus and their core. And basically, they don't know how to use their deep core at all. And so over time, like not only do you have, yes, pelvic floor issues and, organ issues, bladder issues, but like your core is not protecting your spine as well as it should be, especially if you're already active. Like if you're like, oh, like bladder problems are not going to stop me. I'm still going to lift in the gym. I'm still going to do all these things. But if you're not actively engaging those deep core muscles because your superficial muscles are way overactive, it's going to be really hard for you to gain strength in that deep core. And so I'm interested to hear your journey about using your deep core muscles and not overusing your superficial muscles and how that's been going, because most people with bladder issues, it makes it worse. So I'm curious how that's going.
So far, so good. I mean, she's doing a lot of like external massage, like she's working on my glutes,
Yes.
super tight. She's doing internal work, so it's going pretty well so far. She's also helping me learn how to breathe appropriately, which is always fun. I, like end up laughing because it's ridiculous in the moment, but it's
It
really helpful.
is. It's so simple, but it's like one of those things that's like, you got to nail it.
Well, yeah,
You got
because
to get it down.
I'll be in bar class. I do bar like 5 days a week, and we'll be doing abs, and they'll be like, "Don't forget to breathe." And I'm like, "Okay, but when do I breathe in versus out? Like, I need more instruction than this."
I know. It can get so confusing. Well, that's the thing too. It's like those core intensive kind of workouts can be a lot harder for you to breathe because you need to have your core on the whole time.
Yeah,
And if you're not having your core on, like what else are you doing?
I used to not breathe. Like I remember doing like 6 inches in middle school volleyball, and my back hurt so bad, and I just didn't breathe. And I thought I was just like weak, but now I know I'm like, no, I just my core didn't know how to work.
Isn't it crazy? Like I think about this all the time. I'm like growing up as an athlete and like all these sports. Who the heck were our coaches and what qualifications did they have? Because I'm undoing, and you're probably undoing a lot of things for women that like we should have been told as 15-year-olds.
Yes, all of my coaches, or most of my coaches, were teachers. So it's like they don't have
Yeah.
a background in any
They're
sort of,
just like, "Hey, this position's open. Do you want to apply for it?" And they're like, "Yeah."
and like they're
They're-
good at it because one, they were probably an athlete, and two, they're a teacher, so they're good at teaching. So
Yeah.
it's awesome, but it's like, okay, let's talk about good form, because I'm sure my form could have been a lot better.
It's so interesting, like high school athletics. And I mean, I work with a lot of young girls still to this day, like young players, volleyball players, gymnasts. And I'm like, y'all never learn to breathe. Y'all never learn to activate your core, your glutes specifically, and the balance between those and how important it is to maintain a healthy spinal alignment, healthy pelvic alignment, and then pelvic floor. I'm seeing more and more often young girls with bladder issues, like not only bladder pain, but leakage, urgency, frequency of urination, and all of those things can lead to UTI, IC like symptoms, but have nothing to do with the bladder. And it's mostly their habits, their lifestyle, the way that they're exercising, their pelvic floor tension, trauma, all of those things. It's wild.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all.
It's crazy. Okay, so I'm curious, next question would be like, so what types of things are you seeing for women once they kind of like worked on their nervous system regulation, things like that? Like where are you taking them next? Are you having them go and travel and enjoy life? Like are they scared? Like are the mental sides of things, like what are you also addressing outside of nervous system? And like how have you found that that's like you would like more people need to understand that there's so much more to the picture than just like the nervous system or just the diet?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have my program set up to be, it's 6 weeks of nervous system work. So that's like classes. We have a workbook to go along with it and all of that. So they're working through a lot of different things. Like they're working on just learning the basics. They're working on shifting their beliefs and their mindset. and just there's a lot into it. So, I mean, a lot gets accomplished in that 6 weeks. And when people come out of it, it's like their symptoms are significantly better. Sometimes it takes longer for people. That's totally cool. Like it's flexible. Um, I will say, like, in combination with that, people are also usually going to pelvic PT. So that's kind of like a combination approach that we're taking. We're also having them make sure that their like hydration is adequate, because that's something a lot of people with like frequency and urgency will do, is they'll restrict their fluid
Yes.
intake thinking they'll pee less, but it really makes them pee more. So we have to kind of figure that out. Some people have just like a hormonal issue. Maybe there's like a estrogen atrophy going on that just needs to get addressed, and it's like night and day. Everyone's a little bit different, but people usually do have like the same general themes of like, this is the root cause, this is the work that you're doing to, get through that. But I think some of the most helpful things for my clients is talking to other people on our group coaching calls, like seeing people face to face that understand what they're going through, and also seeing people have wins and succeed
Yes.
in getting relief and living their life. I think that goes a long way with people. Like, you see these wins, okay, that's proof that you can get better, because step one is believing that you can get better.
Absolutely.
So much on the internet that tells you that you won't get better. These support groups that are out there, they can be really gloom and doomy, negative. You're getting a lot of like worst case scenario there. And it's hard if you're someone that is like isn't aware of that. It's easy to fall into that black hole of like, oh my God, this is going to be my life forever. Like, this is absolutely terrible. But then you're ruminating, you're catastrophizing. It's just not good from there. So I think being part of a community of people who believe that they can get better, and they believe that you can get better, and they're cheering you on, and it's just really incredible to work with them and see them, just interacting with one another. Like, it is really freaking cool.
Yeah. I think community is a huge piece because there's so much negativity out there, but also more specifically, the women that you're working with, the women that I'm working with, like, you're not talking about these issues. It's very vulnerable, it's hard, it's emotional. Like, you've probably talked to everybody about it already if you've been struggling for a really long time, and like people are just sick of hearing about it too. So like finding a group of community or finding a group of people that are in the same situation, struggling with the same things, struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel, like, is so motivating to actually get better and continue to do the things, especially when you're investing in a program that's probably outside of your typical insurance model, where there's no incentive for your doctor to be like, yeah, you're actually getting better. Like, your doctor has another patient to see. Doesn't matter. But when you're in a group and a coach that like actually gives a shit about your well-being, like, it's different. It hits
Yeah.
different. You feel different. You get better and you stay better. And I think that not a lot of people realize that like you don't have to do it alone. Like, there's so many support groups out there that are actually positive, that are actually seeing progress. Like, it's not like a negative doom and gloom Facebook group. There's good groups out there. It just goes a long way, and actually people find community in that more than anywhere else. So
Yeah. I'm finding a lot of people just like are afraid to talk about it in their day-to-day life. Like, they don't want to burden other people with it. So I think able to freely share and talk about it with other women, it's like really empowering, and it's validating to hear that what you're going through isn't weird or unheard
yeah,
of. Like, I
yeah,
think that's like, we have people who come on their first group call and afterwards they're like, I already feel better. Like, my symptoms have improved. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't feel alone anymore. It's really stressful to be alone.
mhm, yeah,
Like, can you get relief by yourself? Absolutely, you can. I did. It took
yeah,
me for freaking ever to do, but I did it.
mhm,
You can do
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It a lot faster if you have like guidance and structure and community. Like, that accountability, I think, is really huge, because the journey is never going to be linear. Like there's going to be bumps in the road, and it's going to come down to like how you bounce back from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that piece of advice. Okay. If your community or clients or anybody out there listening to this episode could take away one thing from you, from the years and decades of trial and error that you have done, what would you want that to be?
Oh my God, I think I could name like 100 things, but I think the main thing I want people to take away and understand is like you have probably been given this diagnosis of like it could be IC, it could be something different, but if it's a chronic condition that has quote unquote no cure, that doesn't mean you can't get relief. There's so many people out here that are getting relief from their symptoms. They are living their life again. Like the amount of clients I had that traveled this summer and didn't have symptoms, like it's absolutely incredible. So it's like your isn't it doesn't have to end because you got diagnosed with something. It doesn't have to end because your bladder is calling the shots all the time. Like there is hope, and you have to quite literally like dig yourself out of that hole. I always say like you're allowed to throw yourself a little bit of a pity party. I did that. I threw a really long pity party, but you have to pull
Yeah.
yourself out of that because there is
Yes.
so much hope for you. There's a lot that you
Yes.
can do to get relief that might not even involve your doctors or medications or whatever. Like that stuff can be great too. That can be helpful. But, you know, in the work I'm doing with myself and my clients, like we're seeing a lot of improvements when focusing on the nervous system and the pelvic floor and just kind of taking that more root cause approach. That has been the most beneficial for me and my clients. So, long story short, understand that you can get relief that is possible for you.
I love that. And that goes for anybody listening with anything, not even bladder issues, like literally anything. Like I feel like people just really they throw the pity party for too long, and like whatever situation they're in, mentally, emotionally, financially, physically, they're just stuck there. And like we all have the option to get out of whatever situation we're in. Like we can rewrite our story any point in time. Doors always open. All right, last question. I am asking everybody on this podcast, what's one rule, piece of advice, or a small blueprint that you were told to follow as a little girl from your mother, from your grandmother, someone in your life, or as an adult woman that you've since thrown out, and what have you replaced it with?
That is such a good question, and I've been thinking about it this whole time. And say, I would say this wasn't explicitly said to me. It was more of like this is what I gathered as a child, but like to be skinny means you are worth loving. I don't know. You know what I mean? And as an adult, like after I went through my whole disordered eating journey, came out on the other side, you know, doing so well. I've realized that like your self worth has nothing to do with how much you weigh or what you look like. Like you have so much to offer besides all of that. So I don't know if that's the type of answer you're looking for or people are giving, but that's
Yeah.
my
No, that's beautiful. I think that whoever's listening to this probably also grew up in the same light, were maybe given the illusion of the same things, or people that are listening to this that are young right now and are going through it. So that's great. Well, Callie, thank you so much for coming on my podcast today. It's been a joy to talk with you and get to hear your story and how you're helping amazing women around the world. Where can people find you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, so I am on like every app possible. You can find me specifically Instagram and TikTok. I'm most active. I'm at Callie K Nutrition. Yeah, currently I have my podcast. It's called ICU. We talk about IC and OAB and just like women's health in general. So yeah, come follow me. I put out a lot of good information, and I think I'm pretty funny in doing it. I normalize a lot of things.
Yes.
I just had a video about like a literal joke type of Instagram reel. It got 3.5 million views. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm so funny.
Wait, I need to go look at it.
I went on vacation in Portugal and we went in this like natural springs and the water was like orange. So I made a video and I was like, oh my God, you guys, I just peed in the pool, but I forgot I took Azo last night. What should I do? The pool is just orange.
Oh my gosh.
And
So
everyone,
relatable.
there's so many Karens in the comments like, oh my
Of
God, you
course.
peed in the pool. I'm like, oh,
No, Karen, I did not pee in the pool. It's a joke.
yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Oh gosh. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Female Blueprint podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.